प्रिन्सिपल हाम्रो एनटिआइपी सस्टेनेबिलिटी पछाडि प्रिन्सिपल एन्ड प्र्याक्टिस अफ फरेस्ट सर्वे ल्यान्ड सर्वे है त। सर्वे इज द टेक्निक्स प्रोफेसन एन्ड साइन्स अफ एक्युरेटली डिटरमाइनिङ terrestrial or three-dimensional position of point, distance, angle between point, distance and angle between point. Objective of survey: to determine the relative position of various point above, on or beneath the earth surface, to take line, linear and angular measurement between various point, to prepare plan and map for representation of measure area on a horizontal plane, to provide a basics for civil engineering construction work and activities, and application of forest surveying forest management मा चाहिँ demarcation and checking of forest boundaries and laying out of filling coops, preparation of plantation maps and stock map, detection and rectification of encroachment and elite felling, preparation of plan for area to be cleared, fence or planted, and alignment of forest road, mapping of fire burnt area, identification of suitable habitat for target species, identification and mapping of anthropogenic and natural disturbance, and classification of survey based on curvature of earth को आधारमा plane survey, assume earth surface in plane suitable for small area, geodetic survey, trigonometrical survey, consider curvature of the earth and curvature earth गर्छ, use for large area with high precision मा, basics on equipment use forest survey, chain survey मा चाहिँ area divided into framework of triangle, measurement takes using chain or tapes, features locate with reference to chain line. त्यसपछि गएर compass survey, direction measure using magnetic compass and distance measured by tapes, chain, large range finder. Plan table survey, field work and office work done significant simultaneously, होइन, also called graphical method of surveying. Plan table survey, also called graphical method of survey. Principle of survey, working from whole to part, establish main control point first with high precision, minor details filled later with less precision, prevent accumulation of error, locate a point by measurement from true reference point, position of any point fixed by measuring from at least two, preferably three known point, and consistency of work, use of same method, instrument and observation techniques, and ensure uniform accuracy. Okay, ensure uniform accuracy, independent check, every field measurement must be cross checked. Okay, help detect unnoticed error, accuracy required, method and instrument selected based on required accuracy of survey. Principle of forest survey in Nepal, होइन, forest survey principle, earlier survey relied on chain and compass and resulting in higher error. Modern surveying use GPS, GIS and remote sensings, provide faster result and higher accuracy. satellite image used from local to national scales. High resolution image enable surveying of inaccessible areas, and application of modern forest survey in Nepal, delineation of community forest boundary using GPS, and mapping forest cover change at national and local level, mapping forest degradation and deforestation, and identification of seed stand, identification of suitable habitat for target species, mapping invasive species, mapping fire burnt area, identification of forest areas suitable for infrastructure development, and mapping encroached forest area, stratification of forest into harvesting block, identification of erosion prone and hazard vulnerable site, identification of suitable area for plantation, identification of biodiversity hotspot, principle of forest biometrics, tree and forest growth model, and pre- preparation of volume, yield, and biomass tables. Forest biometrics definition. Forest biometrics is the science of forest bio measurement. Metrics is measurement. It deals with the quantification of biological and physical characteristics. एउटा क्वान्टिफिकेसन अफ बायोलोजिकल एन्ड फिजिकल क्यारेक्टरिस्टिक्स, tree and associated vegetation, and insect disease and wildlife, topography, soil and climate. These characteristics include measurable attributes within forestry, both temporal and spatial. Okay, त्यसपछि गएर प्रिन्सिपल अफ फरेस्ट बायोमेट्रिक, मेजरमेन्ट अफ लेन्थ अफ लाइन, एरिया अफ सर्फेस एन्ड भोल्युम अफ सोलिड, length of line, area of surface and volume of solid, determination of dimension, form, weight, growth, volume, height, health and age of tree individually or collectively, and assessment of forest inventory, site growth capacity, forest health and sustainable capacity, ability to quantify all attribute within a reasonable level of precision and consistency, provide basis for sale and trade of forest product, forms the basis of forest management, essential for forest resource, required for forest planning, and tree and forest growth model. Describe growth and yield pattern of tree and stand over time, used to predict diameter growth, height growth, volume increment and biomass accumulation, support decision making in silviculture treatment, harvesting, scheduling, sustainable forest management. त्यसपछि गएर छ अर्को प्रिपरेसन अफ भोल्युम टेबल. A volume table is defined as a table showing for a given species the average volume cannot contained of tree, log, sound timber, tree, log, sound timber. For a given tree dimension, volume table can be prepared using graphical method, regression equation method. दुईवटा तरिकाले graphical र regression equation. Type of volume table based on shape, scope. Local volume table prepared for a specific locality or site, more accurate for the practical area. General volume table prepared using data from a wide range of site, applicable over a large region, and purpose of volume table. Okay, estimation of standing volume, forest inventory and yield estimation, planning, harvesting and operations, and valuation of forest resources. Graphical method of representation of general volume table. The graphical method of preparation of general volume table involves the following steps. And selection of tree, के गर्छ त selection of tree of typical height and development throughout the entire range and distribution of the species are selected for data collection. Defective trees and trees above average are not selected. Okay, the number of tree to be selected depends on grouping. Adopted precision requires the deviation in of individual tree volume from the mean in each groups. Measurement. Okay, measurement depends on the kind of general volume table to be prepared. Standard volume table, assessment table. Measurement includes diameter at breast height, total height of tree, under bark diameter at the middle of each timber, section of certain length. Okay, length of each timber sections, and volume of each sections and other required measurement. Data of individual tree are summarized and grouped into height and diameter classes in a table known as the table of basics average. And the value in the table of basis average are plotted in three successive steps and smooth curve are drawn. Step 1, average diameter is plotted against corresponding average volume separately for each height classes. Smooth curve are drawn for each height classes. Volume against the middle of each diameter classes is read from the curve and tabulate. Step 1. Okay, step 2, average height are plotted against corresponding average diameter for each height classes. Smooth curve are drawn. Average height against the middle of the each diameter classes is read from the curve and tabulated. Step 2 मा चाहिँ average volume tabulated in step 1 are plotted against corresponding average height tabulated in step 1a separately from each diameter classes. Smooth curve are drawn. Volume are read from the curve against the middle of each height classes and tabulated. And step 3, volume read from curve in steps 2 and again plotted against the middle of diameter classes separately for each classes, and smooth or harmonized curve are drawn through this point, and final volume are read from the curve against the middle of diameter classes and tabulated. त्यसपछि गएर अर्को छ regression method of preparation of general volume table. In this method, the basic data collection process is the same as in the graphical method. The relationship between volume dependent variable and devious height from independent variable is expressed mathematically using regression equations. A number of regression equations are prepared from basis field data, and the most accurate equation is selected using the method of least square, and the selected equation is used for the preparation of the volume table. And we can see example of regression equation. Look at this. V is equals to a plus bd plus cd square I. Volume भइहाल्यो ओभर बार्क डायमिटर एट ब्रेस्ट हाइट डी भने अब ए भने रिग्रेसन कन्स्टेन्ट हैन, त्यसपछि बी र सी भने रिग्रेसन कोएफिसिएन्ट. ओके, यो भने ए प्लस बी डी प्लस सी डी स्क्वायर. स्पेसिफिक regression equation example, preparation of local volume table. ओके टिक्टोना ग्रान्डिज टिकको चाहिँ -0.5514 प्लस 3.8590 डी हैन, यो चाहिँ टिक्टोना ग्रान्डिजको भयो। र सोरियर अवस्थाको -0.2736 प्लस 3.3241 डी सोरियर अवस्थाको। युकालिप्टसको 0.0840 प्लस 2.5110 डी, यो चाहिँ मसलाको। त्यसपछि प्रिपरेसन अफ लोकल भोल्युम टेबल कसरी प्रिपेयर गरिन्छ भन्दाखेरि लोकल भोल्युम टेबल क्यान बी प्रिपेयर बाई ग्राफिकल मेथड आइदर बेस्ड अन फिल्ड डाटा अर डिराइभ फ्रम जनरल भोल्युम टेबल। मिन्स त्यो चाहिँ ग्राफिकल मेथड, regression equation method either based on field data or derived from general volume table चाहिँ regression method भयो। procedures is the same as the general volume table and graphical method based on basics field data and DBH and volume of sufficiently large number of tree are measures. Tree are grouped into diameter classes. Average volume for each diameter classes is calculated. Average volume is plotted against main diameter of each classes. A smooth curve is drawn through the plotted point and B मा छ graphical method based on data from general volume table and figure from a general volume table are plotted on graph paper. Volumes on y axis, middle of diameter classes on x axis. त्यसपछि separate curve for each height classes and DBS and height of sufficiently large number of tree of the locality are measured and these value are plotted on on the same graphs paper by taking diameter on x-axis, interpolating height between height curve of the general volume table. A smooth curve is drawn through all plotted point. The curve obtained represent the local volume table. Volume is ready to at the middle of diameter classes and tabulated. Preparation of yield table. कसरी प्रिपरेसन हुन्छ त yield table भन्दाखेरि yield table is a table standard summarizing statement summarizing on a per unit area basis all essential data related to development of a fully stuck and regularly thinned even age crops at periodic interval and step in preparation of yield table. अब प्रिपरेसन अफ yield table चाहिँ स्टेपहरू के हुन् भन्दाखेरि constraint top height top edge curves by side quality. Step in preparation of yield table, construct top height top edge curve by side quality, assign sample plot according to quality classes and group crops as and mean crops basal area per hectare separately and compute average. Draw average crop as BS, average mean basal area curves and compare curve value with actual measurement and calculate standard deviation and coefficient of variation and curve then against crop age. Okay. Similarly drawn curve for number of tree per hectare, average crop diameter, stem timber volume, stem small wood volume and for each quality classes main crops data and are grouped by decade of half decade age classes and following average are computed. Basal area per hectare, number of tree per hectare, average crops diameter, average crop height, stem timber and stem small wood volume per hectare, stem timber and stem small wood volume from forest, top edge and top height, and average averaged are plotted against average crop edge. Smooth curve are drawn for each side quality. From curve, the following are calculated using standard formula. Basal area per hectare is equals to number of tree per hectare into average basal area भयो. crop volume per hectare is equals to basal area per hectare into crop height by form factor, and average value for each decades are read from curve and tabular. Data for subsidiary crops are similarly curved and tabulated. Preparation of biomass table. Preparation of biomass table. Biomass refer to the weight of above ground vegetation matter produced per unit area, including stem, branches and leaves. Step in preparation of biomass table is selection of sample tree, measurement of sample tree, deviation and height are measured, and measurement of biomass, green and dry weight, estimate using destructive sampling. Sample tree is filled and separated in stems, branches, twigs and leaves. Each component is weighted separately. Samples may be over dried to obtain dry weight. Sum of all component weight gives total tree biomass, and model formula, evaluation and selection of biomass model. Common biomass equation used in Nepal is ताम्राकार 2000 मा चाहिँ in y is equals to a plus b in x. Okay, y is equals to a plus bx. Y green weight, x dbs र in नेचुरल लगाइदिन्छौँ ab constant. त्यसपछि गएर नेशनल फरेस्ट इन्भेन्टरी, procedures in planning, management, field data collection, data compilation and presentation. Concept and importance of forest inventory. Forest inventory is a scientific tool used to determine the status and condition of forest. It supports policy makers and scientific communities to understand forest conditions, identify management and intervention options, and periodic national forest inventory provide snapshot of key forest attributes, basis for further forest policies, and reliable data are essential to understand biodiversity depletion, decline in carbon sequestration capacity, forest degradation and deforestation trend. National forest inventory conduct in Nepal. First national forest inventory 1963 to 1967 initiate modern forest mapping in Nepal, focus on commercial forest, southern lowland तराईमा adjoining hilly areas. Method use चाहिँ field inventory, visual interpretation of aerial photographs हैन 1953 to 54 and 1963 to 64. ओके त्यसपछि गएर कमर्शियल फरेस्ट एन्ड फरेस्ट क्लासिफिकेसन, कमर्शियल फरेस्ट र नन कमर्शियल फरेस्ट. त्यसपछि गएर ल्यान्ड रिसोर्स म्यापिङ प्रोजेक्ट LRMP 1978 to 1979. LRM develop land use and land cover. Map include information on forest type, size, ground cover, and use aerial photographs, ground truthing, aerial photographs, graph and ground truthing. DFRS assessment 1978 to 79, 1992, 1991. The use Landsat TM image 25 28.5 meter resolution and assessment from forest resources and deforestation in Tarai region. Protected area were excluded, and forest resource information system project 1990s to 1993 study forest and shrub cover of Nepal, focus mainly on deforestation in Nepal, Tarai. त्यसपछि गएर DOFSC assessment चाहिँ 1992 र 2000देखि 2001 use Landsat image study Tarai forest cover change and classified land use cover into 6 major category. And त्यसपछि नेशनल फरेस्ट इन्भेन्टरी NFI 1994 Landsat image 30 meter resolution aerial photographs and field inventory cover forest throughout the country. And forest resource assessment FRA Nepal 2010-2014 most comprehensive national forest inventory conducted in Nepal. Measure 40 plus national level attribute including forest structure, soil carbons, biodiversity, ethnobotany र forest disturbance र adopted stratified two-phase systematic cluster sampling. Stratifies two-phase systematic cluster sampling cover 5 physiographic region. Identify 55,358 sample plot र 9,187 cluster. 55,358 sample plot र 9,187 cluster. Use LIDAR in Western Tarai, TAL to improve biomass and carbon estimation. All plot were geo-reference and permanent. Include soil characteristic and litter and deadwood, stump, natural and anthropogenic disturbance, and cover entire country including protected area र verification field verification Tarai Chure mid mountain and Google Earth verification high mountain and high Himalaya. Limitation चाहिँ satellite image taken in March April मामा चाहिँ satellite image लिने. Difficult detection of deciduous forest due to defoliation. And the FRA Nepal 2010 देखि 2014 methodology. Multi source forest resource inventory, data source high resolution satellite image, rapid eye MSS, Landsat image, Google Earth image, and DEM र LRMP map, topographical map र field inventories. Two-phase systematic cluster sampling. Okay. Phase 1 satellite image interpretation and 9,230 cluster र 5,358 plots. And phase 2 field measurement 1,553 plot र 1,553 plot र 450 cluster. Mapping approach hybrid method, automated classification plus visual interpretation. Forest type mapping wall to wall forest type classification, accuracy assessment, error matrix र kappa statics, concentric sample plot design, 4 concentric plot, 4 vegetation subplotहरू and 4 shrubs and seedling subplots, 4 soil plot, is assess 14 category of forest disturbance and challenge and gap in forest inventory in Nepal, lack of funding and incompatibility of result, national inventory depends on external funding and long gaps between successive inventory, variation in data source scales, image acquisition month र mapping unit र accuracy assessment method result are often not comparable over time and lack of resource alternatives, limited permanent sample plot र measurement interval not clearly defined, weak continuity in long term monitoring and reliance on traditional technology and slow adaptation of advanced technology and limited technical capacity and knowledge transfer, poor assessment of climate change impact र cause of forest degradation and अर्को छ difficult topography, complex terrain limit field access, medium result satellite image insufficient for grazing impact, carbon stock estimation र biomass assessment and snow and shadow effect in mountainous region, lack of distinct level for forest resources, non-reliability of community-based inventory चाहिँ community forest inventory can be valuable however data manipulation to meet regularly requirement reduce reliability and lack of real-time or near real-time data, sensitive area like Chure wetland biodiversity hotspot require continuous monitoring, limited budget and technical capacity hinder real-time surveillance. Summary table from FRA 2010 देखि 2014 चाहिँ टुडे पर्मानेन्ट स्याम्पल प्लट रिमेजरमेन्ट चाहिँ 2018 देखि 20 मा चाहिँ पर्पोज एन्ड हाइलाइट ग्राउन्ड बेस रिमेजरमेन्ट अफ पर्मानेन्ट स्याम्पल प्लट ओके त्यसपछि across Nepal's major physiographic regions to update forest stocks growth and conditions and त्यसपछि गएर EFTMP इकोसिस्टम एन्ड फरेस्ट टाइप म्यापिङ प्रोजेक्ट 2020 देखि 2023 रिवाइज National Ecosystem and Forest Types classification and mapping include ecosystem vulnerability and assessment, NLCMS National Land Cover Monitoring Systems 2022 ongoing annual land cover monitoring using AI, remote sensing and multi-source satellite data for near real-time change detection, sub-national forest indicators development 2023 देखि 24 digitalization of field data and development of forest indicator at provide and province and municipality level to support decentralized forest management, forest cover trend 2019 देखि 2022 मा चाहिँ 2019 देखि 2022 मा quantified change in forest cover between two national national assessment showing an overall increase in forest area. ओके, त्यसपछि गएर इम्पोर्टेन्ट अफ फरेस्ट रिसोर्स एन्ड एसोसिएटेड इस्यु इन फरेस्ट म्यानेजमेन्टमा चाहिँ के छन् भन्दाखेरि डिफिनेसन एन्ड प्रपोज फरेस्ट रिसोर्स and applied science that develop new knowledge, technology, and methods for sustainable forest management and utilization. Goals are improve management of forest resources from current and future need, enhance human well-being, protect forest and the environment, focus on applied to outcomes rather than pure theory, and use basic science result to create technology, and support economic development program, ensure result are adopted and contribute to development. स्कोप अफ फरेस्ट रिसर्च के छ स्कोप छ फरेस्ट रिसर्चको भन्दाखेरि फरेस्ट म्यानेजमेन्ट एन्ड सिल्भिकल्चर, बायोडाइभर्सिटी कन्जर्भेसन गर्छ, त्यसपछि ट्री इम्प्रुभमेन्ट एन्ड एग्रो फरेस्ट्री, सोइल एन्ड वाटर कन्जर्भेसन, प्रोटेक्टेड एरिया एन्ड वाइल्ड लाइफ म्यानेजमेन्ट एन्ड ट्यापी र अदर फरेस्ट रिलेटेड एरिया सच एज कार्बन सिक्वेस्ट्रेसन, इकोसिस्टम सर्भिस, कार्बन सिक्वेस्ट्रेसन, इकोसिस्टम सर्भिस एन्ड फरेस्ट पोलिसी. Organization involves National Forest Research Program, semi-autonomous research institutions, and research branches of forest agencies, university forest department, private sector and forest industries, non-governmental organization र international organization, FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of UN, CIFOR, Center for International Forest and Research, ICRAF, International Center for Research on Agroforestry, UNEP, UNESCO, MAB, IUCN, WWF, the Nature Conservancy, roles and contribution of forestry research चाहिँ provide up-to-date and reliable information for forest policy formulation, management of declining forest resources, biodiversity and ecosystem monitoring, develop innovative technology for forest productivity improvement, sustainable utilization, and facilitate localized and climate specific study in countries like Nepal, and support long-term sustainable forest management and livelihood of rural communities. Key issue and challenge in Nepal is limited policy and priorities, forestry research historical low priorities, and Ministry of Forest, okay, MPFS 1989 to 2010 rank research 10th out of 12 programs. Research influenced by individual interested rather than demand drive need, and a lack of political and financial support, inadequate resource management capacity, complex climate and biodiversity. Nepal's diverse ecology required localized resource approaches, slow adaptation of modern resource approaches, weak dissemination and stakeholder involvement, resource finding often not utilized by policy or forest managers. Long-term investment requires forestry research outcome takes years to impact practice, and emerging need social, economic, policy and environmental research now requires alongside traditional forest scenes. Recommendation for effective forest research develop update research policy and priorities, promote demand driven and participatory research, ensure stakeholders' participation in planning and dissemination, encourage interdisciplinary international collaboration, link research output to policy management and livelihood improvement, and invert in long-term programs होइन for sustained benefit, strength capacity for technology adaptation and modern monitoring tools, GIS remote sensing, type of remote resource advantage, disadvantage and basis for forest research planning, definition of research, systematic inquiry to describe, explain and predict, systematic inquiry systematic inquiry to describe, explain, plan, predict and control observe phenomena, use in inductive quantitatives and deductive qualitative method, inductive चाहिँ क्वालिटी र डिडक्टिभ चाहिँ क्वान्टिटी, inductive analyze observe event generate theory, deductive test theory against observe event होइन analyze observe event, inductive and deductive चाहिँ inductive and deductive वेबाट एनालाइज अब्जर्भ इभेन्टहरू एनालाइज गर अब्जर्भ इभेन्टहरू, जेनेरेट थ्योरी होइन, त्यसपछि टेस्ट थ्योरी एगेन्स्ट अब्जर्भ इभेन्ट डिडक्टिभ है त, क्यारेक्टरिस्टिक अफ गुड रिसर्चको क्यारेक्टर के सिस्टमेटिक एप्रोच इन्स्योर एक्युरेसी अफ डाटा फ्लो, ethical standard in observation and analysis, data derived from actual observation in natural settings, in-depth analysis remove data anomalies and generate new research questions, use all available data, no ambiguity in inference, accuracy is crucial, depends on instrument, calibration and methodology, type of research का टाइपहरू, basics fundamental research aim at gaining better understanding of a के त subject, phenomena or law of nature, focuses on knowledge advancement rather than solving immediate problem, focus on knowledge advancement को लागि rather than solving immediate problem, त्यो चाहिँ के हो त बेसिक फाउन्डेसन रिसर्च है त। त्यसपछि इक्जाम्पल हाउ डिड द युनिभर्स इभल्भ होइन, कसरी युनिभर्स इभल्भ भयो भन्ने बेसिक फन्डामेन्टल रिसर्च भयो। त्यसपछि गएर अब एडभान्टेज एक्सपान्डिङ नलेज, युनिभर्सल एप्लिकेसन्स एन्ड मे लिड टु साइन्टिफिक ब्रेक थ्रु। ओके, त्यसपछि डिसएडभान्टेज नो इमिडिएट प्र्याक्टिस बेनिफिट, हामीलाई अब यसको डिसएडभान्टेज अर्थात् लिमिटेसन हेर्ने भने नो इमिडिएट प्र्याक्टिस बेनिफिट, हाई कस्ट एन्ड टाइम, हाई कस्ट हुन्छ र टाइम हुन्छ, डज नट सोल्भ अर्जेन्ट प्रब्लम होइन। त्यसपछि गएर एडेप्टिभ्स अन फार्म रिसर्च, एडेप्टिभ रिसर्च चाहिँ भ्यालिडेट मोडिफाइज or calibrate new technology for specific environmental, social or economic condition. Farmers often participated. Rehabilitation of quality seed in Eritrea 2007. Okay, locally relevant, involve end user in research, direct applicably to local conditions, and not always useful, may be limited to specific sites, require careful location adaptation. Action research. Research conducted in partnerships with client to analyze a problem and develop solution collaboratively, and focus on practical action and feedback loops. Okay, and participation. Participatory forest management study with local communities, and encourage participations, increase motivation and ownerships, provide real-time feedback useful in social, medical, forestry context. Okay, and difficult to conduct and hard to generalize result, time consuming, may face ethical, cultural or professional challenge, and basics of forest resource planning and design. Overall process: identify the research problem, clear defining of the problems to be addressed, evaluate existing literatures, revise past study and data for guidance, create hypothesis, formulate testable statement or research questions, develop research design, decide methodology, sampling, instrument and pro procedures. त्यसपछि गएर describe population, define target area, specific or community for research, and data collection, conduct field work, measurement, observation and surveys, data analysis, analyze using statistical, graphical or qualitative method, and reports writing, present finding in a clear, logical and reproducible format, and flow diagram conceptual. Flow diagram conceptual means identify problem गरिसकेपछि इभालुएट लिटरेचर, त्यसपछि क्रिएट हाइपोथेसिस क्रिएट गरिसकेपछि रिसर्च बल्ल डिजाइन गर्ने, डिजाइन गर्यो त्यसपछि डिस्क्राइब पपुलेसन, त्यहाँको पपुलेसनलाई डिस्क्राइब गर, डाटा कलेक्सन गर, त्यसपछि एनालाइसिस गर, त्यसपछि रिपोर्ट राइटिङ गर. रिसर्च डिजाइन इन फरेस्ट्री. रिसर्च डिजाइन इन अ स्ट्रक्चर डकुमेन्ट, एउटा स्ट्रक्चर डकुमेन्ट हो होइन, डिटेलिङ मेथड, टेक्निक एन्ड procedures for a research project, provide direction and structure, ensuring reliable and efficient outcomes, principle of sound research design. Identify the problem clearly, revive literature related to the problem, specify hypothesis to be tested, describe data source, define how data will be interpreted, and characteristics of a good research. गुड रिसर्चका क्यारेक्टरिस्टिक्स चाहिँ भ्यालिडिटी हुनैपर्छ है त. इन्स्योर करेक्ट मेजरमेन्ट टुल्स आर युज फर अब्जेक्टिभ, भ्यालिडिटी हुनु पऱ्यो. जनरलाइजेसन, न्युट्रलिटी र रिलिएबिलिटी. भ्यालिडिटी, जनरलाइजेसन, न्युट्रलिटी एन्ड रिलिएबिलिटी. भिजिएनआर जनरलाइज्ड चाहिँ आउटकम्स क्यान एप्लाई टु broader population behind the sample, and neutrality, assumption are unbiased and data collection is objective. त्यसपछि गएर reliability, research yield similar result in repeated under the same condition. element of research design का एलिमेन्टहरू, purpose statement, objectives of result, data collection method, technique for gathering data, data analysis techniques, statistical or quantitative, qualitative method, type of research methodologies, qualitatives and quantitatives and mix, challenge and prerequisites, tools, times, पर्सनल्स होइन ड्युरेसनमा चाहिँ टाइम फ्रेम फर स्टडी एन्ड मेजरमेन्ट एन्ड एनालाइसिस प्लान्स एन्ड हाउ रिजल्ट विल बी इन्टरप्रिटेड ओके त्यसपछि इम्पोर्टेन्स अफ रिसर्च डिजाइन रिड्युस इन एक्युरेसी एन्ड इरर इन्क्रिज इफिसियन्सी एन्ड रिलेबिलिटी minimize time and resource waste, eliminate bias, and provide clear direction for testing hypotheses. Type of research design basis of approach quantitative answer who, what, where, how, when यो क्वान्टिटेटिभ भयो डाटा रिप्रेजेन्टेड एट नम्बर ग्राफ्स एन्ड स्ट्याटिक्समा र क्वालिटेटिभमा चाहिँ एरो एन्सर हाउ एन्ड वाइ हाउ एन्ड वाइ चाहिँ क्वालिटी हाउ एन्ड वाइ हाउ र वाइ क्वालिटी हु वाट वेयर को के कहाँ कसरी र कहिले भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ क्वान्टिटेटिभ भयो नम्बर ग्राफ्स एन्ड स्ट्याटिक्समा दिने भयो र युज ओपन इन्डेड क्वेसन्स एन्ड न्यारेटिभ्स ओके साइन्टिफिक डिजाइन चाहिँ एक्सपेरिमेन्टल चाहिँ टेस्ट कज इफेक्ट रिलेसनसिप अफ भेरिएबल्स इन्डिपेन्डेन्ट र डिपेन्डेन्ट एक्सपेरिमेन्टल चाहिँ टेस्ट कज इफेक्ट रिलेसनसिप्स अफ भेरिएबल इन्डिपेन्डेन्ट र डिपेन्डेन्ट कोरिलेसनल examines relationship between two or more variable over time त्यसपछि डिस्क्रिप्टिभ्स describe the primary subject through survey observation and case studies and अर्को छ डायग्नोस्टिकमा चाहिँ एक्सप्लोर कजेस अफ प्रब्लम्स एन्ड सजेस्ट स्ट्रक्चर सोल्युसन डायग्नोस्टिकमा चाहिँ कजेस अफ प्रब्लम्स एन्ड स्ट्रक्चर solution and explanatory explore theoretical idea and undiscovered aspect of subject and problem in field implementation implementation means lack of historical approach difficulty in incorporating local technical knowledge bureaucratic research management inappropriate evaluation and reward systems and research on socio-economic and policy aspect of forestry wildlife and watershed management चाहिँ potential research area in forestry plantation and silviculture system ट्रेडिसनल टेक्निक्स इक्जाम्पल एन्ड इस्यु चाहिँ ट्रेडिसनल टेक्निक्स स्टिल डोमिनेट भइरह र निड मोडर्न एप्रोचेस फर इफिसियन्टली एन्ड सस्टेनेबिलिटी ट्री ब्रिडिङ चाहिँ एक्सपर्टिज इन ब्रिडिङ फर हाइजर प्रोडक्टिभिटी नट वाइडली एप्लाइड पेस्ट म्यानेजमेन्ट persist pest problem reduce forest productivity long term solution are looked त्यसपछि natural forest management means little improvement in sustainable management practice logged over area चाहिँ many area severely degraded need for restoration research and regeneration study चाहिँ natural regeneration is change based dependence on environmental and social and economic factors त्यसपछि गएर टेक्नोलोजी बेस्ड रिजेनेरेसन चाहिँ प्रोभाइड इन्टरभेन्सन फर रिजेनेरेसन आर रेयरली एप्लाइड टेक्नोलॉजी बेस्ड regeneration में provide international intervention for regeneration are rarely applied. And agroforestry and community forestry, despite attention insufficient knowledge exists on what intervention make a real impacts. And wildlife conservation भने wildlife extension and poaching and human wildlife conflict remains critical issues. And climate change assessment, study impact at basin, sub-basin and watershed level, wildlife census and monitoring, regular census, population dynamic study, habitat monitoring, camera trapping, use for tiger and other wildlife population estimate and monitoring. Key focus area चाहिँ socio-economic research, understanding human forest interaction, dependence on entropy and livelihood impact. Socio-economic research and policy research मा चाहिँ evaluation of forest law, community forest regulation, watershed management policies. Wildlife research, census techniques, monitoring population trend, human wildlife conflicts mitigation. त्यसपछि गएर watershed management research, soil water conservation, hydrological impact assessment and climate adaptation strategy. त्यसपछि छ technological application, camera trap, GPS GIS mapping, satellite imagery for forest and wildlife monitoring. Concept of soil conservation and watershed management. Soil conservation, protection of soil from erosion and degradation to maintain fertility and productivity. Propose retain nutrient, better crop growth, retain nutrient गरिसकेपछि better crop growth, high yield, त्यहाँबाट इकोनोमिक डेभलपमेन्टको कुराहरू. कम्पोजिसन अफ सोइल, मिनरल 45, ओएम 5, वाटर 25, एयर 25. सोइल फर्मेसन फङ्सन, सोइल एफ सिएलओआरपिटी, सोइल भने सिएलओआरपिटी. वेयर क्लाइमेट, अर्गानिक म्याटर, रिलिफ टोपोग्राफी, प्यारेन्ट मेटेरियल, टाइम. practice include watershed management and efficient water use. Watershed management, integrated management of natural resources, forestry, agriculture, pasture and water within a watershed to ensure sustainable use. Purpose, maintain ecological balance, improve water availability, support long-term land productivity. And watershed definition, a geographic area where all precipitation drain in a common outlet, stream, river, lake and reservoirs, and include land, water, vegetation, wildlife and human communities. Benefit, regular water nutrient cycle, research groundwater, support fertile soil, absorb greenhouse gas and preserve biodiversity and provided recreational space. And difference, watershed, drainage basin, catchment. Feature, catchment चाहिँ definition, 2D features, only surface area and smallest unit हो. ड्रेनेज बेसिन चाहिँ 3D फिचर हो, इन्क्लुड अन्डरग्राउन्ड वाटर र लार्ज देन क्याचमेन्ट. वाटरसेड अल एरिया इन्क्लुडिङ हाउस होल्ड पनि, एग्रिकल्चर पनि, फरेस्ट पनि, र ब्रोडेस्ट युनिट हो, इन्टिग्रेट्स ह्युमन ल्यान्ड युज. एन्ड 4 एरिया अफ सोइल कन्जर्भेसन एन्ड वाटरसेड म्यानेजमेन्ट, न्यारो फोकस, ब्रोड फोकस, रुरल डेभलपमेन्ट फोकस. ओके, त्यस ल न्यारो फोकस अपल्यान्ड वाइल्ड ल्यान्ड, न्यारो फोकस अपल्यान्ड वाइल्ड ल्यान्ड, वाटर रिसोर्स डेभलपमेन्ट, broader focus: agriculture, forestry, grazing land, water resource integration र rural development focus चाहिँ all land including social economic development component and agriculture, forest, grazing health, education, market, transportation, credit. In Nepal, the focus is broader, integrating forest, agriculture, pasture and watershed management. Watershed condition classes in good, excellent, good, fair, poor, very poor. Excellent, good, fair, poor, very poor. Excellent, near on disturbs, good, minor disturbs, fair, significant disturbs, poor, disturb with accelerated erosion, very poor, advanced accelerated erosion होइन र वाटरसेड युनिट टाइप एरिया माइक्रो वाटरसेड 0.05 to 0.5 km स्क्वायर सब बेसिन वाटरसेड 1 देखि 10 वाटरसेड 10 देखि 100 बेसिन 100 देखि 1000 र सब बेसिन 100 देखि 1000 र बेसिन 1000 भन्दा माथि माइक्रो वाटरसेड सब बेसिन वाटरसेड माइक्रो वाटरसेड सब वाटरसेड सब बेसिन नै सब वाटरसेड सब बेसिन ओके 0.05 to 0.5 1 to 10 10 to 100 100 to 1000 more than 1000 नोट बेसिन सबभन्दा ठुलो त्यहाँबाट सब अलिकति सानो सब बेसिन त्यहाँबाट अलिकति सानो वाटरसेड मेजर बेसिन एन्ड सब बेसिन अफ नेपाल बेस अन IWMI 2012 कर्णाली हुम्ला कर्णाली मुगु कर्णाली ठुलीभेरी तिला कर्णाली वेस्ट सेती गण्डकी काली गण्डकी मर्स्याङ्दी बुढी गण्डकी त्रिशुली इस्ट सेती इस्ट राप्ती कोशी इन्द्रावती तामाकोशी सुनकोशी लिखु दुधकोशी अरुण तमोर सप्त महाकाली महना बबई वेस्ट राप्ती तिनाउ बकैया बागमती कमाला कन्काईमाल र मिची डिफरेन्स इकोलोजिकल जोन अफ नेपाल कमर्सियल ल्यान्ड डिग्रेडेसन कमन ल्यान्ड डिग्रेडेसन टाइप तराईमा 70% इकोलोजिकल जोन तराईको 70% मा फ्लडिङ वाटर लगिङ फ्लड जान्छ वाटर लग्ड हुन्छ सिट इरोजन शिफ्टिङ रिभर कोर्सेस स्ट्रिम ब्याङ्क इरोजन अब हिलमा 68% मास वास्टिङ रिल इरोजन इन्टर रिल इरोजन ब्याङ्क कटिङ गल्ली इरोजन ल्यान्डस्लाइड एन्ड जनरल सोइल इरोजन त्यसपछि गएर माउन्टेन 15% मा चाहिँ रक स्लाइड्स ग्लेसियर लेक आउटब्रस्ट फ्लड एन्ड एभालेन्सेस एन्ड ग्लेसियर रिट्रिट र त्यसपछि ल्यान्ड सोइल एन्ड वाटर कन्जर्भेसन एक्टिभिटी र डिस्क्रिप्सन र पर्पजमा चाहिँ ल्यान्ड युज डेभलपमेन्ट प्लानिङ ल्यान्ड युज फर सस्टेनेबल एग्रिकल्चर फरेस्ट्री एन्ड settlement and land productivity conservation okay land productivity conservation maintaining soil fertility preventing degradation improve crop yield and protection of infrastructure मा चाहिँ safeguarding road irrigation and irrigation canal trace and others त्यसपछि गएर चाहिँ इन्फ्रास्ट्रक्चर फ्रम इरोजन एन्ड फ्लड त्यसपछि गएर नेचुरल हजार्ड प्रिभेन्सन कन्ट्रोलिङ ल्यान्डस्लाइड फ्लड एभालेन्स जियोलो ग्लोफ एन्ड अदर इकोलोजिकल हेजार्ड कम्युनिटी सोइल कन्जर्भेसन एक्सटेन्सन engaging local community in soil conservation and awareness program slope agriculture land technology contour farming bench tracing and agroforestry on steep slopes to reduce erosion. Salt climate resilience practice in watershed management. Surely conservation, reforestation, water harvesting, and adaptation to climate change. Income generation in livelihood supports, promoting sustainable NTIP, agroforestry, and alternatives livelihood option to reduce pressure on natural resources. And natural and man-made erosion, mass movement, landslide, slope failure, and and factors responsible for water induce erosion in an organized and exam friendly format. Nature and man-made erosion. Natural erosion, geological process where soil and rock are worn worn away by natural agents such as water, wind, and ice. Water is the most significant contributors. Man-made erosion, man-made erosion भने चाहिँ accelerated by human activities, deforestation, land clearing, unsustainable agriculture, and removal of vegetation exposes soil and increase vulnerability, loss of topsoils, decrease fertility, and regenerative capacity. And mass movement, mass wasting चाहिँ downward movement of soil, regolith, sand, and rocks under gravity occur a single mass or fragmented flow, debris flow, and mud flow. Common in area with steep slopes, heavy rainfall, and unstable soils. And landslide, अब तीनमा छ landslide, a type of mass wasting caused by gravity. Type of landslide falls, sudden free fall of rocks or soils. Topples, 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 forward rotation of materials. Slides, downward movement along a surface of ruptured. Spreads, lateral extension of soils. Flow, material behaves like a viscous fluidic mud flow and debris flow. And impact, loss of life, infrastructure damage, and environmental degradation. Slope failure, चारमा छ slope failure, sudden collapse of slopes due to loss of soil strength or stability. And triggers, heavy rainfall, earthquake, human disturbance. Consequences are rapid, high destructive event, especially dangerous in populated or developed area. Soil erosion process, detachment, soil particles loses from the surface, transportations, particles carried by water, wind, or gravity. Deposition, particles settles at a new locations. Impact, reduce soil quality, low agriculture productivity, contribute to land degradation. Factor responsible for water induced eroजनमा चाहिँ rainfall, runoff, melting, snow ice, and irrigation. Main agent detaching and transporting soil. Wind, air temperature, humidity, solar radiation चाहिँ influence soil moisture and erosion intensity. Population growth चाहिँ increase pressure on land for food and settlement and fuels. And land use without conservation measure में agriculture, deforestation, and urbanization. Over exploitation of resources भने deforestation, over grazing, marginal land use, and quarrying. And erratic rainfall भने चाहिँ both excessive and insufficient rainfall triggers erosion. and land tenure, small land holding, land tenure, fragmented land often lack proper conservation, earthquakes trigger landslide and slope instability, rugged topography, steep slopes, accelerated erosion and mass movement, unmanaged development, टोई कटिङ, स्लोप लोडिङ, रोड कन्स्ट्रक्सन र सेटलमेन्टको कुराहरू। त्यसपछि गएर सोइल एन्ड वाटर कन्जर्भेसन टेक्निकहरू चाहिँ कन्टुर कन्टुर ट्रेन्चिङ चाहिँ ट्रेन्चेस डग एलोङ कन्टुर लाइन्स perpendicular to slopes to capture and retain water, improving soil moistures, and key note suitable for arid regions, enhance crop productivity। त्यसपछि गएर कन्टुर बन्डिङ line of stones or earth constructed along natural slopes to retain rainfall, prevent runoff and reduce wind erosion, effectives on hilly land with low soil fertility, diversion man-made channel to redirect surplus water to prevent flooding, erosion, landslide भयो। common near cities, protected communities from flooded, gully plugging, check dams में small temporary or permanent dam across ditch channel to slow water flow, reduce erosion and conserve soil moisture, control concentrated flow, stabilize gullies, wind breaks, row of tree shrubs planted to reduce wind speed, prevent erosion, improve crop yield and protect livestock species, eucalyptus, neem, bamboo र एकासिया भयो। त्यसपछि गएर सेल्टर बेल्ट, मल्टिपल रो अफ tall tree shrub to reduce wind velocity and create protected zone, large scales than windbreaks, species sal, pine and cottonwood, green belt, preserve forest area to protect water supply, green belt capture CO2 and conserve biodiversity, often used along urban, rural, flood and prone zone, contour planting, contour planting, crop planted along contour lines, use natural or artificial barrier, crop residues, hedge, grasses strip to reduce soil erosion, combine with traces or contour barriers, watling, row of fence made from live plant material to divide slope into smaller segment and reduce surface erosion, and effective for long slopes मा चाहिँ वाटलिङ, fastening bundles of live branches placed in shallow trenches to stabilize slopes and prevent stream bank erosion, commonly used on stream bank and marsh areas, fascine and grasses planting grasses or bamboos grasses along contours and vertical diagonal lines to reduce erosion, method seed clumps, rhizomes and cuttings। त्यसपछि गएर palisade brush layering, wood cutting planted along slope or contour line for slope stabilization, protect soil or reduce runoff, Bamboo planting. Bamboo planted on slope to control soil erosion and manage watershed. Fast growing and effective for stabilization. Vegetative riprap चाहिँ stones pitching. Stone pitching laid on slope with vegetation planted in between for stabilizations and combines structural plus biological conservations. Jute nesting. Jute net laid on slopes to protect soil and to create a growth environment for plant and biodegradable supports young seedlings. Okay, and reseeding, sowing seed against to restore vegetation cover and prevent bare soil exposure, maintain productivities and maintenance of forest biomass, conserving all forest component, trunk, bark, leaves, branches rooted to protect soil and waters, reduce erosion and improve watershed health, soil and water conservation and sustainable farming practice, and and conservation farming, minimal soil disturbance, not tillage, and permanent soil cover and crop diversification, improve water and nutrient use, enhance biodiversity and sustain crops productivity. Conservation farming and key notes example. Principle 1, no minimum tillage, soil crops चाहिँ soil covers 30% भन्दा बढी र स्पेस चाहिँ डाइभर्सिफिकेसन 30 भन्दा बढी। त्यसपछि गएर crop cover, growing crops between main crops cycles to protect soil erosion, prevent erosion, improve fertility, support wheat and enhance biodiversity. Example, rye, buckwheat, cowpea beds, zero tillage, direct sowing into soil without plowing, 100% soil cover with residues, differs direct plowing, reduce soil compaction, water loss and erosion, and from conservation tillage 30% भन्दा कम चाहिँ कोभर हुनु पर्यो एन्ड कन्भेन्सनल टिलेज चाहिँ 15% भन्दा कम एन्ड क्रप रोटेसन, growing different crops in succession on the same land to maintain soil health and reduce pest and weeds, rotating create legume and vegetation tables, mulching applying organic straw, compost or synthetic plastic cover the soil, reduce evaporation, erosion suppression, weeds improve fertility, and organic mulch and nutrient plastics mulch retain moisture and त्यसपछि गएर green mulching, growing and incorporating green crops into soil to enhance fertility and benefit subsequent crops, legume grasses चाहिँ त्यसपछि गएर contour stripe cropping, alternating stripe of crop along contour lines of reduced soil erosion and water runoff, forms natural water barriers, enhance nutrition absorption, runoff harvesting, collecting, treating and storing storm water for irrigation and groundwater recharge, include rooftops, rainwater harvesting, key component catchment and conveyance storage and applications, gully plugging and check dam, small dam across gully, drain and channel to slow water flow, conserve moisture and prevent erosions. Temporary or permanent, widely used in hilly and erosion prone areas. Tracing, reshaping slope land into level or gently slope step to prevent erosion, conservation moisture and enable conservations. Advantage, yellow crop intensification, reduce runoff and conserve soil and nutrition. Disadvantage, labor intensives and reduce cultivable area, may increase landslide risk on slopes during heavy rains. And type of beans traces based on the IEC mode classification is types of traces: broad based traces and label based traces, outward slopes traces, the conservation beans traces, inward reverse slopes traces मा चाहिँ broad surface channel or broad based traces, broad surface channel or rig across gentle slopes 12% भन्दा कम. ब्रोड बेस्ड ट्रेसेस चाहिँ इन मेकानाइज फार्मिङ, moderate to low rainfall, dry regions, permeable soils and label beans trace, flat trace mostly for paddy cultivation, heavy rainfalls, humid subtropical regions, low humid permeable soils and outward slopes traces, slope outward mostly for main cultivations and moderate to low rainfall, dry region, good permeable soils and conservation beans ट्रेसमा चाहिँ डिजाइन टु हार्भेस्ट एन्ड म्यानेज वाटर, ड्रेन रन अफ फ्रम इनसाइड ट्रेस, मोडरेट टु लो रेनफल ड्राई रिजन्स, गुड इन हेभी रेनफल ह्युमिड ट्रपिकल region, low permeable soils and inward reverse slopes trace, not practicable in Nepal. Universal soil loss equation, Usle and Rusle for soil and water conservation. Usle चाहिँ Usle initiates average annual soil loss due to water erosion over a specific area, developed by Wismir and Smith 1960 USDA and applicable mostly for slopes 20% भन्दा बढी स्लोपमा एप्लिकेबल हुन्छ. इक्वेसन E इक्वल्स टु RKLSCP ओके RKLSCP. त्यसपछि मिनिङ E एभरेज एनुअल सोइल लस टन पर हेक्टर पर इयर. Effect of erosion, output of the equations are rainfall erosion factor, higher are more erosion rainfall and increase erosion. K soil erodibility, measures susceptibility of soil to erosion and texture, structure and organic matters. And LS भने चाहिँ slope length and steepness factor, longer steeper slopes higher, longer र steeper slopes भयो भने higher slope length हुन्छ र more erosion हुन्छ. cover and management factor चाहिँ vegetation land management reduce erosion भने चाहिँ C is equals to 0 full protection र C is equals to 1 bare soil and P is equals to conservation practice factors. Effectiveness of conservation measures, lower P better erosion controls and use, identifying erosion prone areas and guide implementation of soil conservation measures, assist in sustainable land management limitation मा चाहिँ accuracy depends on data quality, soil climate and land use, designed mainly for agriculture cropland, and require advanced models, field validation for precise result, and revise universal soil loss equation मा चाहिँ purpose Rusle is the update computerized version of उसले 1990s and more versatile for multiple land use, forest, rangeland, construction area, and is equals to RKLSCP, and average annual soil loss ton per hectare per year are rainfall plus runoff factor more precise, K soil erodibility factor, L slope length and steepness factor, C cover and management factor, P support practice factor, evaluated conservation practice like tracing, contouring, advantage of Rusle. Applicable to diverse land use, agriculture, forestry, rangeland and conservation, computerized, faster, easier for planning and better representation of supports practice for control, and quick memory tips, rain kits low cool payment. Biological techniques in soil conservation and water conservation. Biological techniques defined by bioengineering techniques combine vegetation measure techniques, trees, shrub and grasses, trees, shrub, grasses with small engineering structure to reduce erosion, stabilize slopes and protect river bank and improve irrigation channels. And engineering function of bioengineering techniques is cache function, structure cache loose material rolling down slopes due to gravity or erosions. Armor function protect water sensitive slope from liquefaction or shear failure by diverting water safeties. And अर्को छ reinforcing strength soil by bonding practice in voids to improve stability, support function retaining structure prevent later or outward movement of slope चाहिँ 15 भन्दा मिटर भन्दा बढी, anchor function pins unstable upper soil layer to stable underlying strata to prevent failures, and drain function diverts surface and groundwater safety to reduce slope stabilities. And importance of bioengineering techniques in slopes stabilization is vegetative stabilization, planting tree, shrubs and grasses along slopes, structural measurement, micro gully plugging and contour watering, check dams, retaining walls र drainage इम्प्रुभमेन्टमा चाहिँ diverting water to reduce infiltration and slope weakening, and silvi pastoral management, controlling grazing and maintaining soil cover, slope fencingमा चाहिँ prevent livestock grazing that could destabilized slopes, important in stream river bank erosion control and irrigation causes. important चाहिँ objectives prevent river stream cutting, reduce bank erosion and improve irrigation infrastructure, embankment and rebatment.
protect bank using vegetative and structure support, spur and barrier, slow down water flow to reduce erosion on bank, flow retaining structure, manage discharge and decrease erosive force of water, channelization, channelization, direct water flow safety to reduce bank cutting, floodplain stabilization, vegetative cover and structure to protect surrounding land, vegetative measure, planting along bank to anchor soil and absorb water energy, silvipastoral managementमा चाहिँ combine forest and controlled grazing to maintain soil integrity in catchment areas, and key advantageहरू चाहिँ reduce slope failure and landslide risks, protect river bank and irrigation channels for erosions, enhance soil fertility and water erosions, improve ecological stability of catchment areas, cost effective compared to large scale engineering solutions, and principle and practice of sustainable soil management for land productivities. सस्टेनेबल सोइल्स म्यानेजमेन्टको विषयमा हामी पढ्दैछौँ।